The door that shouldn't be there. It appeared overnight. Mark had lived in his apartment for 3 years. It wasn't much, just a small one-bedroom on the 4th floor of an old brick building. But it was his. He knew every inch of it. The creaky kitchen tile, the warped bathroom door, the faint smell of stale wood in the living room. And he knew there had never been a door at the end of the hallway. But there it was. Old. Wooden. Its black paint chipped and cracked, like it had been ripped from some long-forgotten house. An iron handle sat rusted and worn, as if touched by hundreds of hands before his. Mark blinked hard, his stomach twisting. His apartment wasn't that big. There wasn't room for another door. There had never been one before. Yet somehow, it was here now. The scratching. That night, he tried to ignore it. He made dinner, put on a movie, kept his eyes anywhere but the hallway. But as soon as the apartment lights dimmed and the world outside went quiet, he heard it. Scratching. Faint at first, like fingernails dragging lightly across wood. A slow, methodical caress from the other side of the door. Mark froze. His first thought was that it was a rat, maybe something in the walls. That made sense, right? But the scratching didn't scurry like an animal. It was deliberate, slow, almost patient. Still, he ignored it, put in headphones, turned the TV up louder. The next night, the scratching came again, louder. Then came the knocking. One single heavy thud. 3:12 a.m. He sat up in bed, breath caught in his throat. His phone screen lit up. 3:12 a.m. on the dot. His body went rigid. For the next 3 nights, the knocking continued. Always at 3:12 a.m. Always one loud, solid hit against the wood. Mark stopped sleeping. By the 5th night, something changed. The whisper. The knocking didn't come. Silence stretched into the early morning. Mark lay in bed staring at the ceiling, his mind racing with paranoia. He should be relieved, right? The knocking had stopped. Then, just as he began to close his eyes, a whisper, right outside his bedroom door. "Let me out." Mark's blood turned to ice. The voice wasn't muffled like it came from another room. It was right there, right on the other side of his door. So close, he swore he could feel the breath of it against his skin. Mark clenched his fists, heart hammering in his chest. He wanted to believe this was some kind of elaborate nightmare. Sleep deprivation. Stress. Anything but the truth. But the whisper came again. "Please, let me out." Mark shot out of bed. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. He wasn't some horror movie idiot who went investigating noises in the night. And yet, he found himself walking down the hall. His feet moved without permission. His body itched with something that wasn't fear but curiosity. He stopped inches from the door. Cold air leaked from beneath the crack, sending goosebumps across his arms. He placed a hand against the wood. It vibrated under his palm. Something was on the other side, waiting. He grabbed the handle. It twisted before he could touch it. The door creaked open just an inch. The hand beyond it was nothing. Not the kind of darkness you see when the lights are off. This was something else. A blackness so deep it felt like it could swallow him whole. It moved. Shifted. Pulsed. Then, a hand shot out. It wasn't human. Rotting fingers, twisted and too long, latched onto Mark's wrist. The grip was like ice, burning into his skin, yanking him forward. Mark screamed. He stumbled back, thrashing, his foot slamming against the floor as he tried to break free. Just as he was being pulled in, the door slammed shut. The grip vanished. Mark collapsed onto the floor, gasping. His wrist ached, his skin blackened and cold where the hand had touched him. For 3 nights after that, the door remained. It didn't open. It didn't knock. And then, just like that, it was gone. Not alone. Mark should have felt relief. He didn't, because now, every door he passed whispered his name. Every night at 3:12 a.m., he woke up gasping, feeling phantom fingers brushing against his skin. Then, his bathroom mirror changed. It no longer showed his reflection. Instead, it showed a hallway. And at the end of the hallway, the door, it hadn't disappeared. It had just moved. This time it was on the other side of the glass. Mark stumbled backward, his breath coming in sharp gasps. He should have run, smashed the mirror, burned the whole damn apartment down. But then, something moved inside the reflection. His reflection! Only it wasn't him. It looked like him. Same face, same eyes, but it wasn't. It tilted its head too far, smiled too wide. And then, it reached for the handle. Mark's stomach dropped. He turned away, his real hand clenched into a fist. This wasn't real. Then, knock. 3:12 a.m. But this time, the knocking wasn't from the mirror. It was from behind him. The reflection moved first. Mark spun, but his bathroom door was already swinging open. And in the darkness beyond, standing in the doorway, was himself. Only his reflection was smiling, and it wasn't asking to come out. It was asking him to come in. The last thing Mark saw before he was dragged into the darkness was his own face, still standing there, watching, smiling. Then, the door slammed shut, and this time, it never reappeared. But in Mark's apartment, where he had once lived, his reflection remained. And some nights, at 3:12 a.m., it still knocks, waiting, hungry, for someone else to open the door. So, the next time you notice a door where there shouldn't be one, don't open it, no matter how much it knocks, no matter how much it whispers your name, because once you let it in, you might not be the one who walks back out. And if you're still listening at 3:12 a.m., check your reflection. But be careful, because it might just be staring back, even when you aren't. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You never know what might be lurking in the dark, and you wouldn't want to miss it. Until next time, stay spooky.